A solar panel can generate electrical power directly from sunlight. But there is a problem. The electricity coming from the solar panel is DC, direct current. Meanwhile, most appliances in a house are designed to operate using AC, alternating current. So how can we take the DC voltage from a solar panel or battery and convert it into AC? To understand that, we will start with a single switch. Here we have a DC battery connected to a load through a switch. When the switch is closed, current flows through the load. When the switch is opened, the current stops. If we repeatedly turn the switch on and off, the load no longer receives a continuous DC voltage. Instead, it receives a series of voltage pulses. The voltage switches between 0 and the positive DC supply voltage. This is an important first step, but it is not yet true alternating current. The voltage is changing, but its polarity is not reversing. Current still flows through the load in only one direction. To produce AC, we need to reverse the direction of current through the load.
One simple way to reverse the current is to manually reverse the battery connections. In the first position, the left side of the load is connected to the positive terminal and the right side is connected to the negative terminal. Current flows through the load in one direction. If we reverse the battery connections, the right side becomes positive and the left side becomes negative. Current now flows through the load in the opposite direction. By repeatedly reversing these connections, we can create an alternating voltage. Of course, physically disconnecting and reversing the battery every time would not be practical. Instead, we can use 4 switches. The 4 switches are arranged around the load in a circuit commonly called an H-bridge. The load is placed in the middle of the circuit, forming the horizontal line of the letter H. There are 2 switches on the left side and 2 switches on the right side. To produce current in the first direction, we close the upper left switch and the lower right switch. Current flows from the positive DC terminal, through the upper left switch, through the load, through the lower right switch, and back to the negative terminal. The other 2 switches remain open. To reverse the current, we open those switches and close the opposite pair, the upper right switch and the lower left switch. Current now flows through the load in the opposite direction. By alternating between these 2 diagonal switch pairs, the voltage across the load alternates between positive and negative. We have now converted DC into a basic form of AC. There is one very important switching rule. The upper and lower switches on the same side of the bridge must never be turned on at the same time. If both switches on one side are closed, they create a direct path between the positive and negative terminals of the DC supply. This produces a short circuit and can generate a very large current. The switches may overheat or fail almost immediately. For this reason, practical switching circuits include a brief delay between turning one switch off and turning the opposite switch on. This delay is called dead time. We could try to operate the 4 switches manually, but a person cannot switch them fast enough or consistently enough. Household AC power normally operates at either 50 or 60 Hz, depending on the electrical system. For a 60 Hz supply, one complete AC cycle occurs 60 times every second. One cycle includes a positive half cycle and a negative half cycle. This means the circuit must change the direction of the voltage 120 times every second. A mechanical switch operated by hand is obviously too slow. Even many automatic mechanical switches would wear out quickly at these switching speeds. We therefore need electronic switches. Transistors can act as extremely fast, electronically controlled switches. In power conversion circuits, the switches are often MOSFETs or IGBTs. A small control signal applied to the transistor determines whether it is on or off. When the transistor is on, it allows current to flow. When it is off, it blocks the current. Replacing the 4 mechanical switches with 4 power transistors allows a controller to change the direction of current automatically and at high speed. The controller first activates one diagonal pair of transistors. It then turns that pair off, waits for the required dead time, and activates the opposite diagonal pair. Repeating this switching sequence creates an alternating voltage across the load.
This complete DC to AC converter is called an inverter. At this point, the inverter produces AC, but its waveform is not the smooth sine wave supplied by the electrical grid. The output jumps directly from a positive voltage to a negative voltage. It then jumps back from negative to positive. When plotted against time, the result is a square wave. A square wave inverter can operate some simple loads, but it is not suitable for every appliance. The sudden voltage transitions introduce harmonic frequencies. These harmonics can cause additional heating, electrical noise, vibration, and poor performance in sensitive devices. What we really want is an output that closely resembles a sine wave. A sine wave changes gradually. It begins at 0, rises smoothly to a positive peak, returns to 0, falls to a negative peak, and then returns to 0 again. One possible way to approximate this shape is to generate several different voltage levels. Instead of switching directly between the full positive and full negative supply voltages, the inverter could produce a sequence of smaller voltage steps. With enough steps, the output begins to resemble a sine wave. This approach is used in multi-level inverters. However, a more common method is called pulse width modulation, or PWM. With PWM, the transistors still operate as switches. They are not partially turned on to create every point on the sine wave. Instead, they switch fully on and fully off at a frequency much higher than the required 60 Hz output. The width of each voltage pulse is then adjusted. Near the zero crossing of the desired sine wave, the pulses are narrow. As the desired waveform rises toward its positive peak, the pulses become wider. After the peak, the pulses gradually become narrower again. During the negative half cycle, the opposite transistor pair performs the same process with reversed polarity. The average value of these high-frequency pulses follows the shape of a sine wave. This method is known as sinusoidal pulse width modulation, or SPWM. The result is a PWM waveform whose pulse widths contain the shape of the required sine wave. The raw PWM voltage still consists of rapid pulses. To obtain a smoother output, the inverter can use an output filter, normally made from inductors and capacitors. The filter reduces the high-frequency switching components while allowing the lower-frequency 60 Hz component to pass. The output across the load then becomes much closer to a sine wave. The quality of the final waveform depends on several factors, including the switching frequency, the PWM control method, the output filter, the load, and the inverter design. This is how a pure sine wave inverter can take DC power from a solar panel or battery and produce AC power suitable for household appliances.